call this regular council meeting of the Village of Grammanan to order at 7:30, September the 10th, 2018, at the Grammanan Community Center. And I'll put Councillor Fitzsimmons on the spot, probably. I see we don't have a pastor here.
Yes, I see that. Yeah, no problem, no problem. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for these people gathered here tonight, Lord God, who are committed to this island, who are looking to do their best for this island. And we just thank you for this opportunity that we have to gather here and to discuss these issues that come before us. We just pray for your wisdom, pray for your boldness and your courage to be upon each and every one of us here. Thank you. In Jesus' name.
Thank you, Councillor Fitzsimmons. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I'd like to talk again about my pet peeve. I don't think I have to tell people what that is. That's the litter that we find on the highway, ditches, and people's property. We have a beautiful scenic island that we should be very proud of, and we should appreciate it and do all that we can to keep it beautiful and scenic. Let's keep a plastic bag in our vehicles to put litter in a safe place. Rather discard returnables, take them to the transfer station. The money goes to a worthwhile cause, and there is many of them that the bill has been contributed to. Let's clean up our island. Thank you on that one. As we all know, the weather has been the topic. We've had a beautiful summer, great temperatures, great sunny weather, but we all know that we really need some rain. Everything is very, very dry. All you have to do is look around. Our woods are very dry, and the lawns are very brown. So let's be careful with outdoor fires and cigarette butts. Lastly, I would like to just make a comment about building permits, if I can find it. I'll just read one little part of it. This building permit was brought in 1996. And he said, building permits. No one shall undertake or continue with a building, location, or relocating, demolishing, altering, or replacing a building or structure unless a building permit therefore has been issued. It doesn't state anything about buildings being on posts. It doesn't say anything about buildings being on a slab of cement. A building is a building, and as I've talked to our CAO many times, if we're not going to enforce this, let's forget the whole thing. We went with Southwest to have an enforcer. So I think there's one of them that's ongoing, and probably a stop work order should be issued through the building inspector or the enforcement officer. So the next thing is we need a member of the PRAC, and I am going to nominate Councillor Sturgeon for that position, if he will accept.
I'll accept.
Okay, then that's fine. So now we will move on to disclosure, conflict of interest. Adoption of the minutes of August the 13th, 2018.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. In going through the minutes, it's concerning the tabling of a vote to appoint Vern Faulkner as building inspector for the Village of Grammanan. The minutes does say that it was tabled, which is correct, but before that, there was also a motion to accept him made by Councillor Morris and seconded by myself. And anyway, so that should be recorded in the minutes. And as you know, Mr. Mayor, as well, since that motion's been made and seconded, there's no need for a repeat for that this evening when we deal with that later. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to accept with those amendments.
You heard the motion by Councillor Sturgeon to accept the minutes with the changes. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Morris. Question? All those in favor?
Yep.
Opposed? Motion carried. Additions to the agenda, and I have one here that is would be in closed session, is a personnel issue. And at the time we have one that's in closed session, which is the closing up of a road, if it is council so wishes, and I would like to have that moved into open session.
Under new business, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, under new business.
I'll make a motion to that effect, Mr. Mayor.
You heard the motion by Councillor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Moses. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we'll have the RCMP report, and we have Corporal Pomeroy with us tonight.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mayor Green, Council. I am reporting on the month of August 2018. The stats are there in front of you. I reviewed them today. Once again, nothing terribly outstanding. We've had 2 reports, investigations of assault over the last month. 4 impaired driving investigations, 6 thefts under $5,000, just investigations. 3 reports of break and enter, 1 into a business, 1 into a resident, 1 into, I believe, a cottage. 6 reports of mischief, 4 of uttering threats, 1 of harassment, 1 of fraud greater than $5,000. And actually, I'll touch on that one quickly. This was a major loss by a citizen in the tens of thousands of dollars through a scam online. Just send me some money and you'll receive 10 times that money in return eventually. And of course, that never happened. This person lost short of $100,000. So be careful with online and phone type scams. As far as federal statutes, 4 different investigations of Controlled Drugs and Substances Act. I believe 1 leading to charges. 7 false alarms, 5 assistance to the public, 5 assistance to other agencies. Under crime prevention, we have a stat of 3, which is something similar to what we did tonight with the fire department and EMS, a mock disaster at the Graminan retirement home, which went fairly well. 2 trespass acts, 1 mental health report, 4 well-being checks, and I can state that I attended most of those, and for the most part it was the same person suffering from some mental health issues that we were just checking on regularly. 17 motor vehicle warnings or tickets issued. Myself and a couple of the other officers had done 3 ATV patrols in the trails and some of the back roads of Graminan over last month. A couple of traffic collisions with damage, a couple without, and 1 investigation of an accident with the person failing to remain at the scene. And that are the stats. Any questions on those?
Any questions for Corporal Pomeroy?
Mr. Mayor, I have a few other topics I'll just touch on outside of the stats, if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead.
This will be my last council meeting. I've spent a great 5 months here over the summer, spring, summer, fall, I guess. I'd like to thank the public for their support of myself and the membership that were here with me over the summer. Mr. Constable Kelsey Roberts arrived a couple of days ago. His personal effects came today on a moving truck, and he moved into the Thoroughfare Road house. And he will begin, he's already worked a shift, but he will begin officially on Wednesday. On October 7th, you'll have Kelsey Roberts, a gentleman named Constable Devin Philpott, and then the 2 remaining officers, Corporal Jason Morrissey and Constable Corey Bryant. And just quickly, before my departure, I will have a few plans in place to bring over what we call a tactical traffic unit. It's a unit that's going to be enforcing our traffic laws on the island, but they also are very well versed in drug and other activities. So very well versed actually. So sometime in the next coming months, even, this probably won't happen until I leave, but I'll make sure that it does, and I'll organize it. Over the next couple months, they'll be here a few times, and with possibly a drug dump. Lastly, as everyone I'm sure is aware, the ferry terminal office was broken into, damaged, and a major theft from there in August. We would like the public, anybody with any information, whatever it may be, to come forward to the RCMP. You do not have to go to court if you choose not to. If you have information and you want to remain anonymous, we'll gladly take that. We are making some serious headway on that investigation, mostly based on the fact that the public and the businesses in North Head have come forward with their video surveillance systems, and we've now are starting to narrow down people in vehicle that could possibly be involved. And the public has been a huge help in that front. So I thank you very much for that. And that is it for me.
Any questions for Corporal Palmer?
Just comment, you mentioned video surveillance. I'm a big fan of the First 48. And I've seen time after time that maybe at that particular crime scene that somebody's altered the camera or done something and they think they got it made, but they don't realize that their neighbors or
Right.
traffic camera or something like that is
Right.
keeping a tab on things, so it works out a lot of times, I guess, so.
Yeah, and because there's businesses that have these systems throughout the island, but especially it seems like in North Head, or in kind of the northern part of the island, it's been easy for us to take one and then 3 kilometers away take another and kind of piece it all together. So again, we're making headway there. We are nowhere near completely making an arrest or solving it yet, but it is piecing together quickly. Again, today we reviewed some more surveillance stuff that assisted us on that. And I'm hoping that we will pay charges in that crime before I depart.
If you would just hang on for a minute, Corporal.
Sir.
On behalf of the Village of Graminan, I'd like to present you with a certificate of appreciation to Corporal Terry Pomeroy in recognition of your dedication and hard work to your profession.
Thank you very much. That's very much appreciated. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, again, I had a wonderful summer. If they were to ask me to extend, I would certainly do so. I try not to be too excited about it when they ask me to. I pretend like, I guess I'll do it. But I really want them to ask me to. But I don't think it's going to happen this time, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, number 8, under old business, a vote to a motion to appoint Kay Vern Faulkner as a building inspector for the Village of Graminan until December 31st, 2018. Tabled from the August 13th, 2018 meeting.
So the question, I think, Mr. Mayor, in particular for all of us, was wondering is that since we had already made motions to appoint two other gentlemen, well, I think there was 2, anyway, at least a couple others, to be the building inspector, we wonder what kind of was, what role he would play. Was he going to replace the other 2, or was he just in addition to? So he was hoping that the CAO could provide further information.
Yeah, I talked to Alex, and he's just an addition to the team. He's not strictly alone or Graminan. He is also the bylaw for the unsightly premises act, so he'd be over here on that, and also could do the building inspector. He's not the only one that'll be here, just an addition to the team.
Thank you.
So we had the motion last time?
Yes, in second.
Okay. We're good on that?
So,
Do you have to vote on it?
we need to vote on it.
Oh, that's... All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, thank you, Councillor Sturgeon. Dog bylaw update, CAO Rob McPherson.
Big notes here. I have to start off by saying there's been very limited progress on this file. Shortly after the meeting last 13th of August, the two principal slayers in the file, the dog constable and the lawyers, both had immediate or had a death in their immediate family, so they were off to the side for quite some time. I talked to Stephanie whenever I could. It was December or 30th of August before I got the hold of Joel Hanson to speak about the offense and how we can go about it. And I finally got some more instructions from him this morning. When I was going over the last meeting, the big thing was the apprehension of the dog. Our bylaw has the dog constable can apprehend the dog in public, on public property, and in the public domain. As soon as the dog gets in the house, goes into a different thing. Goes in, to get in the house, you have to have entry warrant, or what you refer to as they call it an entry warrant. That warrant has to be signed by a judge. And Joel confirmed that with me today. Stephanie's given me her notes. I've talked to Terry and tried to get as much as I can from the RCMP from the May incident in July. Send them off to Joel, and he will go to the judge and get the warrant. It's the same warrant that you have to do for B&E, drugs, that type of thing. It's that crucial to get the information to the judge that, yeah, this stuff is done. How long that would be, I really don't know. I talked to Larry on the next day of the meeting, and as I told you in the email, that Larry told me that either the dogs would be gone or the tenants and the dogs would be gone forthwith. As far as my understanding is, both are still in residence of the department law. I talked to the SPCA. Their mandate is abuse of the animal. No enforcement of bylaw and that type of thing is in their mandate. At this time, they will not be coming down to have a look and see what condition the dogs are in. One of them is lack of manpower and no formal complaint other than conjecture that these animals would be being abused by being kept in the house all the time. So that's where it is right now.
Question? So we're going for a solicitor to go to the judge to get a warrant to go in and get the dogs and have them destroyed?
That's the idea, yeah.
And since our last meeting, has there been any, what's the update on the demeanor of the dogs? Have they been running out, or? been seen, or?
Hadn't seen or hasn't heard of them.
Okay, but we're still going to get a warrant to get the dogs and have them
Well,
taken
yeah,
out.
I mean, one of the things in the bylaw is the offending animal that's been declared dangerous has to be neutered. And before that's not being done. And I think he's got 2 offenses against both the dogs right now.
The dog's been licensed?
So, no, that's another.
So failing, let's say the landlord doesn't, or the tenant doesn't become evicted, and the dog is moved to somewhere else on the island, then we're pursuing a warrant to have the dogs taken and put down.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it would be, even if they've moved from that neighborhood, it doesn't close the file.
No, still hunt with the dogs.
Yeah, the dogs have got to be looked at.
You-
Any other questions on that matter?
What does it take to make a formal complaint with the SPCA?
Pardon me?
What does it take to make a formal complaint with the SPCA?
All you'd have to have some basis for it. I mean, they've been told, Stephanie said that they're in the house. We don't know what they're doing. Understand probably they're in the bathroom. What kind of stench and that type of thing. But I talked to some of the neighbors, and ever since the last 3 weeks, I've heard the dogs. And if you go by there, you go by every day, the windows are always open. Wonder why they don't get up through that.
Any other question? Okay, then, all you can do is keep trying at it, with Joel, and try to move it along. So now we have a 10-minute open session.
Pass those around if you like, please. I know what it's like to listen to someone speak and try to take notes or pay attention to what they're saying and get the gist of it, so I've made a few notes for you. Good evening. I stand here tonight to raise some concerns that I have already raised to 4 of you individually without getting any substantive answers. Not wanting to wait to talk to all the rest of you one-on-one, I thought I would try this avenue. I understand that tonight is a one-way presentation, but my hope is that the points I raise will merit a discussion amongst yourselves and possibly with me in the near future, and answers or explanations can occur. Municipal governments are in place to provide local governance. They are creations of the province and thus operate under provincial laws such as, but not limited to, the Local Governance Act and the Community Planning Act. They give you authority to do quite a few different things, provided that you follow the procedures in the appropriate acts. Most of the routine day-to-day stuff is done by resolution or motion, and the procedure is relatively easy. If, however, you are compelling the public to follow certain guidelines, then a bylaw is required. As an example, I read Section 127 of the Community Planning Act to require that fees be established by a bylaw, not a resolution such as 1885 from the July 9th meeting. Some of the bylaws pertaining to land use require advertised public meetings with an opportunity for public presentations. The sudden changings of the rules here, while the rural plan, building bylaw, and subdivision bylaws are still in the books, creates a lot of confusion. What are the rules? Where did they come from? Under what authority are they being enforced? Which rules apply? The June 4th, 18th motion, 1876, SNDSC to provide services as discussed, does not, in the legal opinion I have received, give the Commission carte blanche to write and impose their own rules while ignoring the duly enacted bylaws that are already in place. An example of that is their demand for a test pit for possible sewage systems which is not referenced in the subdivision bylaw, but people are being forced, illegally, possibly, to do? What about the fees that are being collected without a bylaw? Does this open the village to possible legal action for undue delays and costs? Land planning is a basic service that, in my opinion, requires local input. Do we want to be the same as Blacks Harbour, St. George, St. Andrews, St. Stephen, or Fredericton? Or do we want our own local character to shine through? No bylaw is intended to be a one and done. They require review and updating from time to time. The building bylaw, as was mentioned earlier, was adopted in 1995, the subdivision bylaw in 1996, the rural plan in 2004. Should these bylaws be reviewed and updated as required? For sure they should. I'm asking you to please keep our local government relevant, undertake the necessary steps, and do the work to keep Graham and Ann, not a cookie cutter village. Thank you.
All I'll tell you is, under the bylaws, they're all being reviewed by Southwest Service.
I'm sorry.
Our bylaws are all being reviewed, the building bylaw, the rural plan, the subdivision bylaw, they're all being reviewed by the Southwest Region. And they're going to be coming and having a meeting with us. So those things are all underway. And I know I'm not supposed to comment on it, but when a person
I'm not
comes...
supposed to retort either, but if they're still on the books and being enforced, how come we've changed the rules in the fact that for subdivision bylaw?
For your information, I've already asked that question, and I wanted to research on it. How can we do it? So we'll close the matter for the time being.
Okay.
Under new business is the closing up. Public Landing Road, Grand Harbor, Grand Ann. I have been retained by General Marine Service regarding the ownership and maintenance of the road. It is listed as a village road and is mapped as such on the DTI mapping. The road is not maintained to the end and has not been maintained for a number of years. Would the village of Grand Ann be interested in conveying and releasing their interest in the lower portion of the road to my client, who would then resume all responsibility for its maintenance as a private road? I believe a stop-up and close bylaw and a transfer of interest in the real property would give the effect to our proposal and relieve the village from the obligation to maintain and service the street portion. I am sure that the DTI has a role to play, and I'm contacting them as well. I believe that would actually be the entity to transfer ownership. I look forward to your response in this regard. And the background on that, I've been involved with it, and when General Marine was owned by Wiley McDowell, Wiley felt it would be much better, it is a village street, that it would be much better if he could plow it and look after it himself. So that's the way it had been. If he wanted sand, we would go sand it. If there was a drainage problem, we would go and try to work that out. It probably got overlooked in last winter, because of that reason. To stop up and close, we have another business beyond General Marine. We have Graham and Ann Boats. So that is just something to think about in your discussion.
And also, I believe, Mr. Mayor, according to the mountain section, goes to the high water mark, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been our policy, as I understand, to, we can never have enough shore access. So, in fact, not only do we not close it off generally, but if an opportunity comes up to get it land, sometimes it comes our way, we try to ensure shore access, I guess, so. And to close it off, I think would be contrary to what we normally do.
Mr. Mayor, if I read the chart right, the last three digits, 815, and if I can see them, there, 833, those would be general marine properties.
That's correct.
And 054, that would be Grand Ann Boats.
one next to it.
And 770
Yeah,
is Graham and Ann both.
yeah.
So I think what the letter was saying is that the line is what the lawyer's client was asking for would be to be drawn across 815 over to where it would meet 833, and that would allow the citizens above that line to come in, but General Marine wanted from that point down to the shoreline transferred over. Am I right? I don't really know the reason why when we'd have, businesses below that, then how would they be restricted access? So I don't. If the purpose of stopping it up is so it could be maintained and upgraded or maintained, then the village or DTI is willing to do that. So you're saying, Mr. Mayor, it's been neglected before because Mr. McDole didn't want it, but now that there's a new owner in General Marine, then that can be. Was that explained to?
It can go back to being the same thing. We have the same agreement with Home Hardware.
Mhm.
Allison Avenue, the one going down there.
Yep.
But they didn't want us down in there.
Right.
If they needed sand or salt, they would call us or let us know, but
So did that information then go back to the solicitor, to the lawyer?
nothing has gone back to the solicitor because it would have to go through council before.
Well, I think we should.
Does this affect the the private owner down that road?
It would become
Yeah,
property of General Marine.
no, what about 30 Ingersoll?
Yeah.
No, that's
It's above the line.
where he wants to cut across there from Verdi's. He just wants everything from Verdi's on down.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
right.
So Mr. Philman Green would still have access. I don't understand why, if it's just to be maintained and village and DTI are going to do that, then that's probably not a need, but I don't, that has to be sent back to the General Marine, I guess.
Well, as Councillor Sturgeon is saying, it is a right-of-way to the beach.
Yep, well, it's public landings,
Yes.
so the name of the road.
So the idea of it is, if you close it up, they have the say. So probably there would be no access.
Can't imagine it, but possibly, I suppose, if they close it up.
So we need a motion one way or the other, Mr. Mayor?
Right on.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that we will deny the request.
You heard the motion by Councillor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Morse. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be fairly quick report. Most priorities last month have been focused on change of the seasons. The outdoor season has come to a stop, even though we did have a ball game here on Saturday with a local group of 9 and under kids. Played a group of 9 and under kids from Sussex, which was great to see. And now everything is to do with indoors with the arena. We've been working hard to get the cement cleaned and scrubbed, doing a lot of painting, repairs to the Zamboni, repairs to the insulation on the walls, etc. The machine went on last Thursday night at 4 o'clock. Bit of an issue with it this morning. Quick fix after a couple of phone conversations to Charlotte Can Refrigeration. Everything's back online. It was currently -2 inside, which is a nice break from the heat. If anyone wants to go in for some free air conditioning. fall schedule for the gymnasium has started. A lot of the user groups from last year are asking for the same slots again. Most of you know that one of our biggest user group last year was Kelly Stoddard. Of course, Kelly and Chris have moved. But we're lucky to have two ladies that are looking to take Kelly's place, which is good. Working with one of the ladies that we're hoping to improve our seniors walking program in the mornings. Seniors walking is offered every morning, Monday to Friday from 8:30 to 10. This lady would also like to add 2 days a week, which would be seniors fitness, as well as hope to add weekly programs for health and nutrition, as well as blood pressure and sugar checks. Still working with that. Once we get the details for that ironed out, we'll certainly have an announcement and have it put on the schedule. Some upcoming things that we're looking at once the ice is in. One thing that's going to be coming up is what to do with the canteen. The lady who ran the canteen last year, I believe, is not interested again this year, so we need to figure out what we're going to do. We want to put it out a request for proposals, see if anyone's interested in running it or leasing it. As well as every year, there's a World Girls Hockey Day. Everywhere across the whole world, on October the 6th, every arena is opened up to all females, whether they played hockey or not, they have any interest. So this year, it'll be on the Saturday the 6th. Last year, we had an all-day thing with the girls. We had all-female coaches, all-female players. They had on-ice drills, off-ice drills. We had a pizza party. They had a little team building thing topped off with the get-together with the movie. So it was a real fun day to watch all those girls come together. We also have referee recertification coming up on October the 7th, which is a Sunday. Anyone wishing to take the physical and verbal abuse from all the parents that think they know everything, feel free to come. We'd love to have you. The last thing, a bit of a positive note, an email I got this afternoon from the Canadian Parks and Recreation Association. There was a new job initiative program this year, which was called Green Jobs. I made an application, sent it in, and we got word back today that we were approved for 2 positions. Mind you, it's not a lot of money. I think it's somewhere around $11,000 or $12,000. It was meant to enhance any type of programs, or had people come in to do the research to see if there's any areas that the village could use to do with green, whether it's community gardens, parks, trails, horticulture, all that different things. So anyway, we'll be working with them over the next little bit to see what we can do to come up with those new positions. That's it from our report, but I would like to ask the mayor for permission to sit in on the closed session.
That's not up to me.
Can it be done? Deputy Mayor Moses, you've been around for a long time, so.
Too long sometimes, I think.
It's a recreation position.
If it is a recreation position and he is the supervisor of the position, I do not see a problem with it.
Yeah.
But I don't know the details yet.
I have no problem.
Would you be open to be asked to leave if it should come to that?
Absolutely.
He'd be ordered to leave.
Yeah.
If it came from one of the female counselors, I would probably oblige.
I'll make a motion that he.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses, do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Fitzsimmons. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So, approval to pay the following invoices: Alpha Security Services Transfer Station Camera System, $1,904.40. Dutchman Contracting, Castelia Ball Diamond, $1,725.
I'll move we pay the invoices as read.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Cheney. Question?
On the Dutchman contract in Castle Ball Diamond, Mr. Director, was that for top mix?
Infield mix.
Okay.
We were looking at buying new infield mix from a quarry in St. John. They do all ball fields in southern part of the province. After talking with Dutchman, they have a new Tremble. They wanted to try making their own mix. It basically is just a combination of sand, topsoil, and a little bit of clay.
Is it satisfactory?
No. It didn't work, unfortunately, because the screen size that they used was only ½ inch, but it was a slotted ½ inch, which meant it was ½ inch on the width, but it could have been the rocks. So there was a lot of rocks there.
Okay. So, did you discuss that with them, or?
There was other services they provided there as well. It wasn't just the topsoil.
All right, so is it a warranted bona fide cost, in your opinion?
They, I don't think they charged us for the Cascade Park.
Dutchman? I thought they did. I can check though. No, this is for the Cascade Ball Diamonds. I'm pretty sure they did. We're all set.
I guess all I'm asking is that if it didn't work out to your satisfaction, was there any talk about a reduction of cost, or are you satisfied at $17.25, you got the services? You got your bang for the buck?
It wasn't perfect, but it made it so we were able to run programs through the summer.
Okay. Good.
So we got service in.
We got service.
Okay.
We were able to have some softball as well as a t-ball and a Cascade.
Okay.
Any other question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question on invoices prior approval to pay. NB Power streetlights, in the last year or so, the whole island's been switched to LED lights, which is a significant reduction in cost. Has that cost been passed on to Ramadan?
No, I think, haven't you posed UNV?
Yes, we're working on that right now. It's supposed to be worked out to just basically the cost of the service, and it's a file that's being actively pursued right now.
Would a letter from the Village of Ramadan to NB Power copied to UMMB be an advantage to that file?
I don't think it will hurt anything, that's for sure. See, before, we wasn't invited to the meeting for the Public Utilities Board, which makes the decisions. But because of our new executive director, somehow she got involved, and now we're part of the agenda, I guess, so.
In the past, the streetlights were calculated cost, so much per light,
Yes.
because they could calculate the draw, so there's no reason why they can't calculate these LEDs in the same way.
No, sure, absolutely.
So with that, Mr. Mayor, I would move the council write a letter to NB Power to reflect a reduction in cost for our streetlight bill and copy UMNB.
I think, if I may make a suggestion, the Utilities Board should be carbon copied on that as well. That would go a long way.
So you heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Cheney. Question? Don't want to tick them off and lose our $39 million cable.
You're just asking.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
You don't have to be nasty, we can ask politely.
Ask the question.
So the next thing is closed session, and we're going into closed session to discuss personnel.
I move we adjourn to closed session.
You heard the motion by Councillor Morris. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Vicente. Question? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Into closed session. in closed session. We were in closed session for personnel. One is part-time help at the rink.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move that council advertise a position for extra staff for the rec committee from October to the December 31st to work in the arena. Position to be extended pending 2019 budget considerations.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Sturgeon. Question?
Was we not going to March?
No, not because of the budget.
We can't go beyond this budget. We have funding for this budget.
Very good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The other one is clerk position. We have one that's out on mat leave and returning mid-October.
Mr. Mayor, due to the extended discussion we've had on this matter, I move we table it to our October meeting and staff do some research on what we can and can't do for returning personnel.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Fitzsimmons. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Our next meeting is October the 1st at 7:30 at the Community Center. Thank you, people, for your time and efforts tonight.
Move to adjourn.
Heard the motion by Councillor Morse. Do we have a seconder?
Aye.
Seconded by Councillor Sturgeon. Good night, and thank you to the staff.